You can use this pattern with a 2.36 ball or a 2.75 ball. Those are the two balls that I have used. You could also use anything in between. You do need to add an extra increase row and an extra decrease row if you're doing the larger ball, and I will talk more about that later in the video. You can use any 2mm cord that you want for this. You also need a crochet needle, a stitch marker, and scissors. And I will be using a 4mm crochet hook. I'm going to start with a magic circle, and if you want to practice the magic circle, if you've never done it before, I will have a link in the description box to the video that I have that's just on the magic circle. That will be in the description box. And inside the magic circle, do 7 half double crochets. And then pull your tail to close your circle. We will be working in continuous rounds, so we're not going to join at the end of every round. For row 2, we're going to put a half double crochet in the first stitch, and then another half double crochet in the same stitch. Be sure to use your stitch marker each time you do the first stitch in each row. It's pretty easy to lose track when you're going in the continuous rounds. So the rest of this row is going to be increased stitches. So 2 half double crochets in every stitch in the row. And at the end of this row, you should have 14 stitches. Make sure that you have 14 stitches before you go to the next row. And for row 3, we are going to do 1 half double crochet in the first stitch. Put your stitch marker back in. And then the next stitch will be an increase. And then you're going to repeat that, half double crochet and increase until you get to your stitch marker. And at this point, if you are using the 2.75 ball, you do need to add another row here. And to do that, you just do your 1 half double crochet, and then another half double crochet, and then an increase. And then you follow that all the way around till you get to your stitch marker. So then you will have a half double crochet in 2, and then an increase, and then half double crochet in 2, and complete that all the way around. And at the end of that row, you will have 28 stitches instead of 21. So because I am using the smaller ball for this example, I'm going to go ahead and start the next row, which starts our pattern. And so to do the pattern, you're going to put a single crochet in the first stitch, and then you're going to link single crochets in this row. So insert your hook into the stitch you just did, and then go into the next stitch next to it, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and go through all 3 loops. And that's just linking 2 single crochets together. So it works similar to a decrease, except because you're going into the previous stitch, you're not actually decreasing your rows. You're going to end up having the same number of stitches as before, except you're just linking 2 of them together. So just continue to do that until you get to your stitch marker. And at the end of that row, you should also have 21 stitches. So to begin the next row and each row in the pattern, you take your stitch marker off, and then you go back to the last stitch you did. That way all of your links stay together. So you won't be starting a row with a single crochet like you did before. All of your stitches for the remaining part of the pattern are all going to be linked. So just continue on round after round doing your linked single crochets. And you will do a total of 6 rows of linked single crochets before you start to decrease. And this is the end of the 6th row of linked single crochets. So now we will begin to decrease. We started with increases, and now we need to do decrease so that we can close around the top of the ball. And if you did the extra row of increases, then you're going to do an extra row of decreases. So the first row of decreases that you will do if you did the larger ball is a single crochet in 2 stitches, and then a decrease, and then repeat that pattern. And then after you do that, then you'll pick back up on this row. So this row is 1 single crochet and a decrease, and then you repeat that. And the reason that I do the single crochet at the top instead of the half double crochet like I did at the bottom is because I like to have the pattern go further to the top. And when you do that, there is not enough room for half double crochet rows. And so I decreased it down to the single crochet so that there would be room to close it. So I'm going to go ahead and do the 1 single crochet and a decrease. And at this point, I like to put the ball inside the pocket before the top gets too small. So I'm going to go ahead and do a couple more stitches, and, and then I'm going to put the ball inside. You can also stretch the inside of your pocket before you put the ball in if you want to, because this cording is pretty stretchy. And then once you get the ball in, you can pull all the sides, make sure that the bottom is nice and snug so you don't have a big point at the bottom. And then continue doing the pattern of single crochet and decrease until you get to your stitch marker. And at the end of that row, you should have 14 stitches. And now we're going to decrease for the last row. And every stitch in this row is going to be a decrease. So continue to do your single crochet decreases until you get to your stitch marker. And at the end of that row, you should have 7 stitches. And now we're going to take our stitch marker out and close up the top with slip stitches around the top to tighten it up around the middle. So cut your yarn with the tail. And then you need to make a knot so it locks that in so it doesn't come unraveled. And then get your crochet needle. And then I'm going to slip stitch through each of those 7 stitches at the top. And then after you complete those slip stitches, because this cording is pretty slippery and can come undone, just find a really tight stitch and tuck it into that stitch before you cut it off.